And webinar is now live. All right. Okay. Welcome to Rewriting Reality, a breakthrough special. And I am Shiraz, your host. And today we actually have an interview. There is let's call her a young lady, who has rewritten her reality in a big way. And I love her story. I love what she does. And so I'm bringing her on so she can tell you her story. And feel free to ask questions as we go along or afterwards when we're done the conversation. And we're just going to see what happens. There's no actual schedule because, with me, it's intuition, it's energy. Let's go where it goes. So I'm going to bring her up now as a panelist. And there we go. Hey, Stacy, how you doing? You are muted.
Woo! Great way to start an interview. I was trying to say hi, Shiraz, and everyone. It's wonderful to be here.
Okay, it's great to have you here. And Stacy Lynn, I met her when she was doing. Are you still doing these things? Because with COVID, I would actually drive all the way to Guelph. I'd travel an hour and 15 minutes to go attend her meditation sessions because they were just so fucking awesome. And things have changed for you since then. You are in a new business. And what did I see? You posted something about to get a certification
As a counselor,
as a
yeah. Oh, things,
congratulations.
thank you. Things be shifting.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, we're going to start. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we're going to get into your story and the big reality shift in your life. So take it away.
Oh, thank you. So, as Shiraz mentioned, my name is Stacy, and we did meet through a mutual friend and really through meditation. Um, I think, in terms of rewriting reality, meditation is a through line for my journey. And where I'm going now is I've just finishing up my life coach training program. I am soon to be finishing up my counselor training program. And so I will be entering the world as a counselor and coach, really with the purpose of helping other people step into their purpose and step into their meaning, even when we have fears and doubts and imposter syndrome and all of those other lovely pieces.
Okay, cool. Thanks. So the people that are have worked with me before and have learned to sense energy, you're probably sensing how calm and just blissful Stacy's energy is. That's one of the reasons I went to the meditations, and she has just a talent to get you into that state. And I have not worked with her for coaching, but if that same energy that's there for meditation is there for coaching, the amount of shifts that can occur for you are going to be phenomenal. But it hasn't always been that way. That hasn't always been you, has it, Stacy?
Yeah, yeah. I think at least my journey was I was my authentic self in childhood. And
Mhm.
it's so lovely of you to say I have this blissful, calm energy. Um, there's definitely different sides to all of our energy, but that was really the root of who I was as a child. Um, I love telling this story of just because I think sometimes it's liberating to hear other people talk about how they were kind of strange as a kid and now coming full circle and embracing that again. So, as a kid, I would sit out on this rock in our front yard and I would sit there for hours and I would hold my finger up into the air and just wait for a bird to come land. And the whole time I would sing to the bird, I would sing to the cars that were going by, I would apparently sing to my neighbors who came and sat outside. And I think for me, it was that just belief that even in really hard times, even in challenge and stress, because I was going through whooping cough and asthma and a whole bunch of different medical issues as a child. Even in all of those pieces, there's still hope, there's still purpose, there's still love and connection. And that was my default. That's, I believe, who I came into the world as and who I meant to be in the world. But as you said, Shiraz, I wasn't always that way. I went through a series of losses and traumatic experiences through um, teenagehood and young adulthood. And I did a whole 360. I actually tried to convince the world that I was a goth, which I had many friends that were goths and fabulous. I was probably the worst goth ever. I had the dark makeup, the dark hair, the pouty attitude, but still had this little spark of love and light that always came in me.
Okay. I have, before you go on with that, I have a question. I think a lot of people are wondering, did you ever get a bird to land on your finger?
No.
Okay.
Such a good question, though. Very close once. I had one bird that came down and landed on, we had a tree house in the backyard. It landed in the tree house.
Okay.
And that was enough to keep me going for multiple years.
All right. So you became a goth.
Yes.
And how'd that work for you?
Not so good. Like I said, I was a pretty bad goth. I played the role. I listened to the heavy metal music. I tried to be angry at the world. And I was angry at the world for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And we had talked about, Shiraz, my rewriting reality moment. And for me, I mean, there's been so many moments. I think that we just rewrite our reality so many times.
Absolutely.
But one of the big, I would say, pivotal moments that kind of brought me back into alignment with my true self, my core self, was in counseling. And I was really struggling with sadness and anxiety. And I had spent years of my adulthood trying to get rid of those experiences. It was like, I've experienced depression. I don't ever want to experience sadness. I don't ever want to experience loss. I will just disconnect completely from those kinds of emotions. And so in counseling, I met a beautiful soul, a wonderful, actually two wonderful women. And over time, they slowly chipped away at this belief and helped me come to a new belief, which was that we can embrace both our sadness and our happiness, that it doesn't have to be one or the other. And that was really like transformational for me because it meant that I could embrace all of me again. Instead of saying, I have to take this part that feels icky or that I don't like about myself or that isn't feeling perfect and these emotions that are uncomfortable, I can take all of those pieces. And as I like to say, get in the pond with them. Just sit with all of them, embrace all of them. And when we do that, we really can get to know our true selves. We can come back to our true selves. And that's powerful.
It's incredibly powerful. It's interesting when you were talking about that animated movie kept popping into my mind with all the little characters inside the girl's head.
Inside Out, I think.
Inside Out?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just what you're saying, because the emotions were separated. When she brought all the emotions together, then she was whole and she could just move further into life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then what changed? How did, you got to that space? What happened with your life at that point?
Well, that was probably a 2 or 3 year journey to really start stepping into that, because there's layers, and
Mhm.
I'm still peeling back the layers that I think, especially in the culture that I grew up with, like a European background culture, and even to a certain degree, Canadian culture, there's this kind of belief that things are kind of separate and you either have this or that.
Yeah.
And so holding that duality, which is so beautifully seen in a lot of different spiritual practices or other cultural practices, was very foreign to me. So taking the time to kind of hold those things together took a while. As I did, though, things started shifting in my life. The first thing was I met my husband, which was amazing. I always say that when you start loving yourself and you really learn to accept yourself, then you attract people in your life that will also love you. And I'm definitely not the one that came up with that. I know you talk about that in your book as well, Shiraz. I just really lived that in my life. The next big shift for me was um, really stepping into my worth and stepping into my values and my purpose and reconnecting with that little girl that loved to sing on the rocks, that loved to just be who she was unapologetically. And in reconnecting with her, as you've mentioned, I now sing on my Facebook page, which is just a random video of me singing with friends. That's my new rock, is my living room. And I think the biggest shift was I finally went after what I knew I wanted to do my whole life. I always wanted to be a counselor. I had no idea what a life coach was, but if I did, I probably would have wanted to do that too. But I always wanted to be a counselor. But because it's what I wanted the most, it was the most important thing to me. It was really challenging to get to that place of being okay with not feeling perfect about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I started to learn to accept myself and accept all of my emotions and my experiences, then I was able to come back to my core self and say, I'm doing this. I'm terrified. I'm going to screw it up a lot, and it's going to be okay. And we're gonna get through this with acceptance, with compassion, with love. And it's, like I said, been terrifying and wonderful, and just so grateful that I get to go on this journey.
Glad you're on it.
Thank you.
It's funny when people talk about being terrified of things. What I usually advise is pretend it's someone else, and is it still a good idea? So it's like, well, I'm terrified of walking across the freeway. Well, if someone else did it, would it be a good idea? Oh, hell no. Well, then don't do it. I'm, ter- I'm terrified of going into this other career. Well, if someone else went into that career, would it be a bad idea? No, that would be great for them. Well, then do it. Like, that's it. Just because apparently it's easier sometimes when you look at it from someone else's point of view. Right? They should do. And it's so funny how we talk to other people, and it's so easy with the other people. Why don't you do it? Right? Come on, you're good at this. Go for it. But when it's us, it's like, oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's such a beautiful way of thinking about it. It really cuts through a lot of the limiting beliefs and the self talk and all of those pieces and gives you back that objectivity that we do have with others.
Yeah. And that's the wonderful thing about getting with a life coach, because they're going to talk to you from that other side saying, no, you can do this.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's, they always talk about coaches as holding you accountable. And I think before I was in coaching, I thought that meant like, here's a goal, here's your deadline. And like a manager, I'm going to hold you accountable. But now being in coaching and counseling, I realize accountability is really about holding acceptance and commitment with your client. It's, I accept you as you are, with your limiting beliefs, with your challenges, with your imposter syndrome and all those things. And I know what you what your values are from our discussion. I know what your purpose is. I know where you want to go. And I'm going to hold you to that and help you find that commitment.
And it's interesting because there's always that patience element too, because you get some people that you're working with and you're holding them accountable and they're moving, but then there's others that they just keep stalling out, and you keep working on them. You're working internally and internally until that one day where it's like, okay, moving and forward.
Yeah.
And to hold space for them in that way and still make them feel cared and valuable until they're, and while that change is going on until they're ready, is so important. And that's one of the reasons I look at you and I say, well, you make everyone feel special in those meditations all the time. So I can just imagine working with you, what it's going to be like to just move forward and transform.
Thank you. That's, I just need a moment to sink that in. Ah, that was very nice of you and very kind of you. And that is my hope. That is my hope. And, you know, as you say that, my limiting beliefs and my self criticism comes up and goes, oh man, do I do that all the time, every moment of the day? And it's like, no, I don't. I have my limitations as well.
Yeah.
But that is my values. That is my mission, is to hold space for people wherever they are. And I'm so passionate about doing that because I've had people in my life that have held space for me. I mean, 3 years to understand the concept that you can hold two different things at once. That they probably had some, oh, is she ever going to get this moments? And I'm so glad that they stayed with me. And I'm so glad that it took me that long, because now when I see other people struggling with it, it's like, yeah, I've been there. This is a crazy wackadoo concept, and it takes a while to take it from the mind into the heart and into the soul.
Yep. And yeah, and it's neat because I know that, you know, I'm saying this about you, but I know that's who you are in meditation, and you're like that in other parts of your life, but that's not who you are all the time. And it's the same thing for me. People are like, Shiraz, you're just like always in the zone and always ready to just spout this wisdom, but they don't see me making the idiotic decisions I'm making when I'm not with them. And, and I remember it was just a couple of weeks ago, I was frustrated about something and I was bitching about it to one of my friends, and she goes, what would you tell one of your clients? And I'm just shut up.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes when we get into these counseling and coaching roles, people, look at us kind of on some sort of pedestal, like, oh, you have some wisdom, you figure something out. And to a certain degree, that's true, especially in coaching. Like, you want to coach where you have transformed yourself.
Yeah.
But we're also freaking human.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, because perfectionism is one of the things that's really challenged me in my life. So I always say, you know, if you want to be perfect, maybe come back in a million years when evolution has evolved enough that, you know, that we're just running on autopilot. Mm-hmm. But right now, mistakes, that's natural. That's evolutionary. And it's just part of being human.
Yep. And with the perfection, I think the best way I've heard perfection described is, it's like you're walking to the horizon and you'll say, okay, I'll be perfect as soon as I reach the horizon. But you're like, it's never happen.
It's like chasing a rainbow. Yeah.
But then on the other side, if you look at that starting point and you keep walking, then you can see how far you've come. And you can look at the journey instead of looking at the horizon. And that's the way I like to look at success. It's like, you know, when just with this business, 6 years ago, I started off, and it was a dare, right? It was, Shiraz, people will pay you money for this. And I'm like, no, they won't. Yeah, they will. Okay, let's see. Now, okay, they will.
That's really makes me laugh, but that's also how my my marriage started. Okay. With my husband. Was he said, oh, I really want to date you, I want to be more than bandmates. And I said, no, you don't. Like, and he said, yeah, actually I do. And I was like, no, you don't. And I was like, these are all the reasons you don't want to date me. Like, just move on. And I think he really embodied acceptance for me in that moment. Cause I kind of told him like I was in a place of not really quite loving myself yet, but at that place where I was gonna say I'm not gonna accept someone not loving me. So I was like, this is exactly who I am, and I'm tired of people not loving me or choosing what parts of me they're going to love. So I'm going to be unapologetically me. And so I said, this is all of me. You don't want to date that. And he goes, no, I still do. So I looked at him, and this was like one of those like movie moments, right? 3 o'clock in the morning, I look at him and I go, fine, you can date me. And that's how our relationship started. But it was such a beautiful invitation for both of us to just be exactly who we were,
Mm-hmm.
and to have that space to say like I'm game for this or I'm not, but to not have to pretend at all.
And that's amazing that you had that experience because you can embody it so much that you can have that space of non-judgmental, not judgmentalism, I don't know what the word is, when you're working with someone, because you've been through it, you know what it feels like. And so the clients you're working with, they can get that feeling of, oh, she accepts all of me, even like the crap that I'm like, it's just there.
Yeah.
And that makes such a huge difference. So my question now is, do you have, because based on what you've been through and your experiences, are there certain people that would be just perfect for you? Like who would light you up when they say, Stacy, here's my problem?
I love how you said light me up, because um, my ideal clients, or the clients that are most lit up by my work,
Mhm.
are people that are looking to find their light. And I'll explain what I mean a little bit by that.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Like,
end of the conversation. That's it. No. um, I see people's light as that core self, that authentic self that we naturally are, beneath all of those layers of kind of genetics and experiences and personality, and just kind of the things that have built up around us that I sometimes call our walls. And so, what I really try and do and help people with is how to look at their walls, see their walls, and not try and change them, but use those walls as a way back to the core self, as a roadmap back to who we truly are. Um,
okay, we have a bomber in here.
yeah, I'm just going to take a
Damar.
breath.
Where's Damar? There's Damar. More. Ooh. Okay. Bye, Damar.
So interesting
Yep.
that that came out in that moment,
Yeah.
because that is a wall.
Yep.
And it's like, ooh, that came in. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to take that personally. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. That's your wall. Hi. It's like, okay. So sometimes when we invite people to come back through the walls, there is that like explosive. Don't you dare touch
Mhm.
my wall. This wall is there for a reason. And so I'm just going to, I know that you remove that person and thank you, but also, energetically to that person, I say, like, I'm just going to hold some space for you.
Mhm.
I'm just going to give you space to need to have that reaction right now. And that's okay. Um,
What's interesting is I've been hearing about bombers for since beginning of COVID when they started happening.
yeah.
And I've been like, I've never had one. I'd really like to have one. But it was right because but I heard like they would like start screen sharing and put on all sorts of porn and weird pics and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
lovely.
I'm like, well, that would be fascinating. But what's interesting is that there's this person and they decided to bomb, and it's like a personalized message, but you just like, oh, well, that's just where they are, and you just let it happen. And what I've noticed, and I'm sure you felt this too, is sometimes when you're working with someone, they've come to you for help, you're touching on those walls and saying, this is what you need to look at, and energetically, they may say, not say it out loud, but energetically, they start going into that. No, fuck you, Stacy, stay away from that wall.
Yep.
And the fact that you're able to stay in the space and like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to send you love. And like that dynamic in a session is so frigging powerful.
It is.
So we really have to thank him for you giving you a chance to demonstrate
Thank
exactly
you.
what you're capable of.
Exactly. That's like my mission. Thank you for that opportunity. And just to kind of, because sometimes I think I so appreciate what you said there, Shiraz. I so appreciate that acknowledgement. I also want to say that there was a full me going into my body, feeling the pain of that, feeling my whole stomach clench, going, wow, I want to cry, I want to run away, this is an awful experience. And then breathing into it, which I said, I'm just going to take a breath.
Yeah.
And because I've done this work and because I continue to practice this, my brain now has this ability to go, oh, you just experienced someone saying this, and detach from it. In this space of, that's not a reflection of me. It's not about me. It's not about my reality. And to see it as more objective. And then when I can do that, then I can go, oh, right, okay, that's just your wall. And I can come back.
Mikal, wow, this thing is really open.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently, we're sending out some interesting energy that's
Well,
attracting some people today.
I got to talk to Jessica because this is the webinar through the breakthrough.
Yeah.
And there's less security on it than on my regular Zoom calls. But most of the people I'm seeing here, I know, so I know they're good. There's just a couple. The Neil with the one name might be another one, but everyone else seems to be good. So,
you know what? We'll just keep holding space for it.
Okay.
And detaching from it, knowing that it's not about us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's neat because I've found with people that are in that state, you are hurting and feeling so low yourself that you have to make other people come down or try to make them come down so it feels like you're coming up. Mm-hmm. And the more visceral it becomes, the lower I know they are. And so it's just, for me, it's just like, oh, wow. Instead of taking the insult, they're like, I'm really feeling bad for how low you are and how bad you're feeling that you have to do this to others just to feel kind of good for a little while.
Yeah.
And it's not pity, it's just sympathy. It's just like, oh, if there's some way that I can help raise your frequency, I'm open to it. But you have to be in that space too.
Yeah. Yeah. And just that piece of how much pain must they be in internally to be shooting that much pain externally. Yeah. Which now that I say it out loud is basically what you were saying as well. I'm just like, yeah, that's what Shiraz was saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about your ideal client. So we're talking about the walls. And so for you, it's not so much about where do you want to go in your career or your life. It's just that, oh, there's a nice one. Your energy is amazing.
Thank you.
Okay. It's more about, I feel like my light has been dimmed and I want to get in touch with that light again. And however that shows up, whether it's finding the right career, finding the right partner, or just that love of myself, that's who you love to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for those words. Yeah. For me, it's acknowledgement. Let's acknowledge who you are, acknowledge what your light is, bring your light back up. And I sometimes think of it like a candle. Like, I firmly believe our light can never go out. It's eternal. It's like the eternal flame or the Olympic flame, if you want to say it that way. It will never go out. Okay. But sometimes we get scared, we get nervous, and so we get attacked and just different experiences happen to us, and we put layers over that light.
Mhm.
And then it feels like that light is dim, because it's almost like on this subconscious level we're hiding our light because we're scared of what it would mean to really bring that light into the world. So that's what I do, is help people find their light, acknowledge it, find those pathways through themselves back to their light, and then find the bravery to bring that light out into the world. And I know we've got a ton of things happening with
It's
all of
like
these comments right
it's
now.
amazing. It's like someone is sharing the address now, and we're just getting it completely. I wonder if there's any way I can shut down the chat. Oh, there's no security on this at all. It's incredible. Okay, and the amount of amount of attendees keeps going up too. We might have to just end this show early, Stacy, and come on with a secure channel. This is getting crazy.
It is getting crazy. Yeah, whatever you feel is best. And yeah.
Yeah, this has never happened. We've been doing this show for a while now.
Well, I just say that our energy together just blew up the internet, and we're just attracting everything
Crazy.
right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're coming in faster than I can delete them. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am going to, because I don't want to I can't throw it in the chat. It's your contact information. What I'm going to do is, after this is over on the Facebook page, I'm going to put your contact information if anyone wants to have a conversation with you.
Thank you.
And find out more about you. And I'm talking and deleting at the same time. It's pretty funny. And ignoring the
Thank
chat.
you, Luna. She said this is a great show. So thank you, Luna.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely going to have a talk about putting them more security, because there's even on the Zoom channels that I have, there's a little security thing that shows that I could just lock the whole thing. Press Alt F4. I don't have an F4.
Oh, and I can't. I'm like, oh, how can I help you? I'm like, I can't help you.
Okay. No, I'm on a Mac that doesn't have the F keys. I know I can bring them up somehow, but I've never needed them, so I've never figured out how.
Yeah.
And wow, they're all calming down now. And thank you for the actual participants. You guys have been great and patient.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Shiraz, for, just continuing to work through this and stay calm and just be you.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I've been wondering what it would be like, and now I've discovered it.
There we go.
This is hilarious. Okay, so one last question before we cut this off, because they keep coming in.
Sure.
What is that piece of advice that you would give to people, that nugget that you say, okay, I think everyone I talk to needs to know this?
I know it. I'm just trying to find the best words for this audience today. The best nugget that I can give is you are enough exactly as you are. You are beautiful and wonderful and loved.
Oh.
That's the best piece I can ever give.
Okay, cool. That's a great way to end this.
Yeah.
And yep, I hope I can have you back again when we are on a more secure channel.
That sounds good. Although it was an interesting experience today.
Yeah. So that was neat. And yeah, and I didn't expect that either. In that, when I hear about a person coming in and bombing him, I figure it's just the one person to kick him out. I didn't realize that the number can get out and then all these people can just start showing up. Well, I
Yeah.
imagine most of them are bots, but it was just, oh, okay, that's how it works. Good. Now I know.
Interesting.
Now
Now
I
we
know.
know. Check that off your list. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't like, actually don't know. Are you doing any events or do you have anything coming up that you would like people to know?
Yeah, I have on Meetup, I have the Yes You Can Activate group,
Mhm.
and we do a celebration group. And I love that group. It's every other Sunday, and literally we come in, we throw humility in the corner, I like to say, and we just share what we're proud of. It's just that acknowledgement piece. It can be big things, it can be small things. It can just be that, you took a couple breaths this week when you were frustrated, and everyone in the group just celebrates that with you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's one of the big pieces that I do right now. And then you can keep an eye on that meetup page as Mackenzie and myself. Who's Mackenzie is a wonderful mindset coach and author. Her and I will be launching a business coaching for soul aligned creatives. And so we'll be teaching people how to get in touch with their light and bring that to the world through business in this very authentic, caring way that is very creative and that aligns with creatives.
Okay. And for other people that are following me, we are back at, well, not here, we'll be on a secure line at 7 o'clock and 9 o'clock for 2 more 1 hour workshops. And don't forget that the New Year's Eve event is coming up 1 o'clock Eastern on New Year's Eve. We're going to be doing clearing the negative energies of 2020. And I figure I've been doing clearing the negative energies of insert year here for years now. But this one, I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I need that. I need that a lot.
Yeah. Wonderful.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Stacy. I look forward to talking to you more, and I'll see you in the real world.
Okay. Thank you, Shiraz, and thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone.